Hello and welcome to today's webinar regarding UPV integration possibilities. My name is Wolf Volkmann. I'm a product manager and senior consultant at CA Experts, and I'm also responsible for innovation technologies. So today we're going to have a look at how UniversalPlantViewer can be integrated with other software systems, and therefore we will see different technologies or methods that we can use to do so. I have prepared an agenda here. So in the very beginning, we will have a look at the use cases, what you can achieve with the technologies that I will show you later on. And then we are going into more detail to have a look at our linking and deep linking feature. We are also going to talk about the SDK and the API for UniversalPlantViewer. So let's start with the use cases for now. UniversalPlantViewer, as most of you probably know, can be used as a central viewer for all project stakeholders. So therefore, it absolutely makes sense to connect UniversalPlantViewer to other systems. Some of the integrations you could think of are an integration with your document management system, with your geographic information system, maybe with your 4D planning system or data warehouse system, and also all kinds of other systems like maintenance systems are supported, obviously. And as you will see later on, we can do this integration in two ways. But before we are coming to this, I also want to show you some of the integrations that we already implemented using UniversalPlantViewer. So here on the very top, we can see the ESRI, ArcGIS. Here we have done an integration. We have done integrations for Microsoft Project and Oracle Primavera P6, but also for OpenText, Documentum, Bentley Context Capture, SAP, Cyberhawk, iHawk, Cinequa, which is an enterprise search engine, R2S or Return to Scene, OpenSpace, and also Oracle Primavera Unifier. So if you have one of those systems in place, we can always help you to do the integration, but obviously the integration can be done with any other system also. Okay, so I would like to start with the linking and deep linking feature here. And the thing is that UniversalPlantViewer allows you to do linking in both directions. What does this mean? So when we are talking about linking, then this is a feature which allows you to use UPV and from here to call any other application, as we will see later on. The deep linking is exactly the other way around. This allows us to have a link in any other application that will target the UniversalPlantViewer, and UniversalPlantViewer knows what to do with this. So we're going to start with the linking. Basically, our linking function allows you to link from within UniversalPlantViewer to files or documents. You can link to applications and also URLs. So that's from a technical perspective. Here in the screenshots, you can see how it looks like. We have links that can be associated to items or objects in the session. So for example, here we have this vessel D-240. This has a link which is called equipment list. And if you click on this link, UniversalPlantViewer will open up an Excel document which contains a list of the equipments. The same linking functionality is also available within IntelliPID. So as you can see down here we have the PID containing this vessel, and there we have defined the same link. To explain the linking a little more in detail, so the definition of the links takes place via an Excel file. I will show this later on. However, the links can also be added using our SDK, which I will also explain later. This link file that you are using can either be loaded automatically, so all of the users will get the same links for all of the objects, Or you can also do this manually by saying, I want to load a link file and specifying the file you want to load. And the file looks like this here at what we can see in the screenshot down there. It basically consists of 4 columns. The first column is the link column. This contains basically the link where you want to go to. So you can see in this example here, the first 2 links start with file /. This means it's a file link. In this case, this goes to my local hard drive. However, this could also point to a network share or any other file on the file system. And but you can also see down here we do have other links. So for example, HTTP or HTTPS links. Those are obviously web links. Here in this example, we are using a link to Google, where we are also passing an attribute. So in this case, you can see this %25 name, %25. This is the placeholder for UPV to know that the name of the selected object should be filled in here. And besides those links, we can also use application links. So for example, here we see the Skype double point or the Mail to double point link. Those are basically application links. The second column in the link file is the condition. So this controls which objects in the session should get the link. So in my example here, I've always used the name attribute and I was using equals D-240. So this is basically searching for all the items in the session with having the name D-240, and all those items will get those links. But you can use any attribute in here. It's also possible to use wildcard. So you could have a pipeline equals asterisk or something like this. So this is the same condition as you are used to from our color files or other files that we can load. Then we do have a column called name. This controls how the link will be displayed within UPV. In my example here, I'm also using folders by using the /. So I'm having a folder documents, I'm having a folder search, and I'm having a folder application here where there is the link stored in. And the last column is the color of the link. So this is the color in which the link should be displayed within UPV. And for this color, you can either use the color as a text like I did here, or you can also put in RGB codes if you want. Okay, so let's have a look how this works. I've already opened UniversalPlantViewer here in my on my local machine, and you can see if I select now this vessel D-240, we can see that there are 8 links found for this. Again, we have now the folder structure that I was just explaining a few seconds ago. So there is this application folder, this document folder, and the search folder. And you can see that it makes it easy to organize your links in some way. So now I would like to start with the documents first. So those are files stored on my local hard drive. But again, this could also be on a network share or DFS share or whatever. So what I will do is I will click on this Links.xlsx link here. This is a link to the file which defined the links for the session. And as you can see, once I click the link, my Excel will open up and will show me the file that I was using here. This obviously works for any kind of document. So if I click on the other one here, which is the IntelliPID link file, the same thing is happening. Excel is starting up, showing me this file. Okay, so that's document links. Maybe let's talk about the application links also for a moment. You have seen in my screenshot that I was using a Skype link here. So I can click on the Skype link now, and what will happen is my Skype will now ask me to start a call to the Echo service. You did see that this call automatically started. So this is one way how you can communicate with applications using this linking technology. However, this same approach can also be used for emails. So in this email link here, if I click this one, we have a predefined email. So the email address does not exist. It's experts.com. We have a pre-filled subject where I have put in the tag of the item that I have selected. And as you can see, it also allows you to bring in a predefined text. And here again, we did use placeholders to bring in the name of the object that we have selected. And in this case, even the UID, so the unique identifier. Obviously, you can use any kind of text or template here for your email. This just to show you that this is possible. Okay, so far for the application links. And then we do have the last section here, which is search. Those are now HTTP links, basically. So if I click on a link like this one, which is called Bing, what will happen is my browser will open up bing.com and it will give the name of the item that I had selected to the query. So it automatically starts a search for the tag D-240. And now imagine that this is not Bing, but maybe your document management system. So you could have one link that you click on, your document management system opens up, and it was already searching for the tag that you had selected. And again, obviously this works for any attribute. So you're not only able to pass the tag, but you could also use the pipeline system or whatever attribute is here in the list of attributes. You can also use it for the links. I have two more examples, which is DuckDuckGo. It's just a different search engine, but the same approach here. The name is passed and DuckDuckGo did start a search already. I have done the same for Google also, just to show how easy it is to implement any search engine. And I have one more special link here, which is called file system. And maybe I just show you how this was defined so you get the idea. So here in this link, actually it's an application link again. You can see, I think it's this one here. It starts with search -ms. So this is a application link that comes out of Microsoft Windows by default. And here I can specify a display name, a query, and the crumb location and a location. So this allows me to start a search in the file system. And if I do so, if I click on this link now, my Windows Explorer will open up. It will give this search a name, in this case UPV external search. It will search for the tag that I have specified in the folder that was specified in the link. So it even allows me to start a file search from within UniversalPlantViewer. And obviously the same things are also available from P&ID. So I have prepared this here in the P&ID also. You can see that here I have the same links defined. So I can also have the email link here for the PID. I click on this email link and now it's the tag D-240 and here is the SPID. So you get the idea. This works in any way in PID and also for the 3D. Okay, so that's the linking. Let's now go back to our presentation for a moment. Now we are coming to the deep linking, and this is now exactly the other way around. So this means now we are using a link that will go into UniversalPlantViewer, and those links are basically executed by UniversalPlantViewer, and UniversalPlantViewer has the intelligence to know if this model is already opened on your local machine or not. So this means if I click on a link and I have the model already opened, it will pick up the running UniversalPlantViewer and will execute the commands. If the model is not opened, my UniversalPlantViewer will start automatically. It will open the model and then it will execute the commands that were specified in the links. And you could have commands like fit, select, color, highlight, and many more. I will show them in a few moments on the next page. But this basically allows you to jump from any document or website into UniversalPlantViewer and to find a specific object. So I will now explain how the deep linking works. So the deep linking always starts with the URL handler UPV API //. And the structure is, there is the URL handler in the beginning. Then there is a model URL, so that's the location of the model where it is stored. And we have a query and we have commands. So down here I have prepared some examples. So let's start with the 3D example here. So here we are having, again, the protocol handler in the very beginning. Then we are having the URL of the model we would like to open. In this case, it's our demo plant. Afterwards, there is this question mark, and now comes the query. So we are saying we want to search for name D-240 and the nozzle name N1. So this is the condition which will allow us to filter down the objects that we will find. And afterwards, we are specifying the commands, in this case, a fit, a highlight, and a select command. So it will bring the object into highlight mode, it will fit it in the camera, and it will select it so that we can see the attributes automatically. So we have the same example down here for P and ID. Here it's absolutely the same. Again, the protocol handler, the model URL. Now the condition looks a little bit different because the attribute here is called item tag and not name. So that's the only difference here. And afterwards, with the commands, we have again fit, highlight, select. And in order to utilize those links for P and ID, we have to add two more things here in the end, but in the command section, and this is the command target, which will specify the target to be IntelliPID rather than 3D. And we also have a command here that will allow you to open the IntelliPID drawings that have been associated with the results of your query. Some of the commands that we can do here. So we have basic commands like fit, select, highlight, set visibility. However, there are also commands for manipulating the view. So you can colorize things, you can do an IntelliClip, a volume clip, you can modify the clipping plane, the visibility, which is basically if it's hidden or not. You can set the visible aspects, you can set the camera to a specific position, or you can also set the camera to a specific position so it looks at a certain target. There is a command for resetting the view. There is a show only command. There is also a show message command, which basically allows you to bring up a message box within UniversalPlantViewer. And we also do allow you to reconfigure the tree configuration. There are also some more advanced commands, so where you can load color files, config files, link files, package files. It also allows you to load sketches. You can change the combine mode of the query. You can export package files. You can make sure that the viewer will get the focus, and many more. So let's have a look at this in the live demo. So again, I have prepared my viewer here, and I have prepared an Excel document which contains deep links. I will just make this a little bigger for the very beginning, so for you to see what is happening here. Maybe I can make this a little smaller. So what I did in this file here, I did specify a model URL here in the very beginning. This is basically our model that we would like to use. And then I have some examples for 3D, and down here there is one example for PID. And as you can see, I have a column for the attribute and the value that I want to search, and a column for the commands. And then with a very, very easy formula, I'm basically just concatenating this together, and this will generate the link for me. So the very first example here is to search for the equipment D-240, to fit it, to highlight it, and to select it. So before I do so, what I will do is I will zoom out somewhere here in my UniversalPlantViewer to over here so that we can see that this works. I will now click on this link, press yes, and now UniversalPlantViewer will pick up the link and will fit this item, it will select this item, and will bring it to highlight mode. And as you can see, this was working like a charm. We do have many more examples here. So for example, here I'm having something where I'm not addressing a single object. I'm looking now for the whole task equipment, and I'm doing a fit and highlight and select again. So if I click on this one, now all the equipments in the plant should be selected and fitted. And as you can see, it also worked very well. And this allows you really to jump off of any application into Universal Plant Viewer. And as you can see, it allows you to do much more than I'm showing you till now. So for example, let's say we want to do a volume clipping around a certain equipment. We can do this too. So here we are looking for the equipment K001. We will do a volume clipping with a 15-meter radius. So I click on this link and Universal Plant Viewer will do this. And as you can see, it automatically defined the clipping with a radius of 15 around this K001. And again, this works also for many other things, and it works for IntelliPID. So down here we have the example that we saw on the slide, which will search for the item tag D-240, will open the drawings and so on. So I will click on that one, and you will see what will happen. Universal Plant Viewer will bring me to the item in the PID. So, and in this case, I already had my viewer open here on my local machine. What I will do now is I will close it down. And now you can see it's no UPV running anymore. I will use the first link again, just for demonstration purpose. Now the viewer will automatically start up. It will automatically open the model which was specified within the link. And then it will bring me to this equipment D-240, and it will also issue the fit, select, and highlight command on this model object. Just takes a few seconds. And here we are. So again, coming back to the example of your document management system I mentioned earlier. So imagine you click on an item here, you have a link, go to my document management system, then your browser opens up, you are in your document management system, you can see all the documents for this equipment. Then you might navigate to some other document, and then you could have a link within your document management system where the link is called show me this in Universal Plant Viewer, and then you can also jump from your document management system directly into Universal Plant Viewer and have a bidirectional communication between both tools. So the linking is really the tool, the functionality, which makes it really easy to do a first integration of the systems. Okay, now let's talk about the SDK or software development kit for a moment. So our software development kit is part of the Universal Plant Viewer Builder. So this means it's something that you can use during the generation process of your model. And it's a very simple but powerful way to enrich your data. So you can obviously rename, add, remove attributes if you want. This is available for the 3D and also for the PID part of things. Obviously, we can also add, delete, or modify graphics or aspects. We can add, delete, and modify links in documents. And as I mentioned, it's also available for IntelliPID. So we have many use cases for our SDK. You can use it to include data from external sources. You could localize your attribute names. You can do a comparison of different states of your model. But we have many more examples. So for example, here in our session that we are seeing, you might notice that we have the equipment name or the pipeline name written onto the model object. And this is also a plugin, a SDK plugin, which you can get from us. Actually, this one is free, so everyone can use it. And it allows you to label your objects automatically. However, there is more that we did with the SDK here. So in this case here, in this demo plant, we also did bring in clashes. And as you might know, the clashes are not part of this 3D model. The clashes have been defined in a clash report, and we were using our SDK to place a small red sphere at the clash position, and then we were also assigning attributes from the clash report to this new red sphere here in the model. So it's just one more use case what you can do with our SDK. Another very good example would be our plugin for the Excel import. So this allows you to bring in data from Excel spreadsheets into your Universal Plant Viewer session automatically by running the builder. But again, the SDK is very powerful and allows you to do many, many things. Okay, and the last thing I want to talk about today is the API. So it's an application programming interface, and this allows you to really interact with Universal Plant Viewer during runtime. The API can be used in two ways. One way is to use the Universal Plant Viewer on Microsoft Windows. So this is what you saw on my local machine. I'm running the executable version of Universal Plant Viewer. However, as Universal Plant Viewer is now also available in a browser-based viewing, so this means in a web browser, there's obviously also the same API available. However, programming is a little bit different for the web browser than it would be for the Windows version. And what can you do with the API? So obviously, one thing is that you can embed Universal Plant Viewer into your own application, regardless if this is a web or a Windows application. And from a command perspective, the API allows you to get more information from the viewer. So we have seen the commands from the DeepLinking. Those are all, let me call it, fire and forget commands. So you send the command and you don't expect to get a result out of it. However, with the API, you can really query information from the model. So for example, you can see there are those get commands, get model info, get selected objects, get visible object, visible aspects, get object attributes and stuff like that. But it also allows you to use events. So let's say you could, for example, once somebody clicks in the session, you can have this pointer clicked event. You can have a selection changed event. So this means every time a user selects a different item, your application will be called again. And we also do have an event if a link was clicked. I think there is one more event which is not mentioned here. This is about custom attribute data being changed. So I will now explain it a little more in detail. So how it works for the Universal Plant Viewer XE is that UPV is automatically starting a TCP server. So it means this is opening a port on your local machine, and then the communication is based on JSON messages. So it's just JSON that you send back and forth. And to start the communication, you have to send this UPV API one message once. And this is basically how we can start the communication. I will now show an example after explaining request and response. So once the communication was opened, you can use requests and to send your commands. So we can see an example down here. So we have here we do have some parameters like the model, condition, command, and so on. And this is basically the request that you send, and then you will get a response. So for example, for this fit command here, we are getting a response where there is an error code, an error message, and the request ID, and no result data in this case. But let's say we are using a command like get object attributes, then the result data would contain the data that we requested. Okay, so let's have a look how this looks like. I will just close down my Universal Plant Viewer and open a API example application that I have prepared. In this example here, that's one of the many examples that you can get from us, from our website. In this example here, what we did is we designed a C# Windows application. We have embedded Universal Plant Viewer in this application, as you can see. And this is just a demonstration program here, which allows me to test some commands. So we have one field here for the condition. where I will put name equals D-240. We have here a field for the command combine mode, but this is not so important for now. And we have here a drop-down having all the commands that the API supports. So for example, I could use the fit command from here right now. I can press the send button now, and now this API application will send a fit command using this condition to the Universal Plant Viewer, which was embedded here into the session. And on the right side here, you can see the response. So we can see, okay, this fit command was working okay. However, if I would specify a different name in here, which is not existing in the session, I would get a response saying no elements hit by query. So it's more responsive for doing the programming, obviously. However, I will change back my condition here to name equals D-240. Now I can use a different command, for example, like get object attributes. If I send this command now, we can see that it will now give us a result data array over here, having all the object attributes for the items that have been fitted by the query. So in this case, we have now the attributes for the equipment itself and all of the nozzles, because my query did not separate between nozzles and equipments. But you can see how you can get the information from the API. And again, this example is available on our website. You can download it, you can play around with it, and this also allows you to do some callbacks and so on.